Good morning, class. Happy Friday. This video is a little bit of an impromptu one. It wasn't planned, but I just got done grading your worksheets, and I just wanted to post this video today for some review and to talk about a couple of things related to it. So this video is just some review on the Congress in a Flash worksheet that you guys did. But what I'll say before we review it is that the scores were not as good as I expected and as they usually are in the past. And I'm not sure if that's because people rushed through it or it was just more confusing to do in this online setting, or if it was just confusing in general. And I know that I definitely could have done a better job explaining exactly what you needed to do. So what I'm going to do in light of that, since overall the scores just didn't go as well as usually they do, is I'm going to be posting a question on Google Classroom. I'm going to give you the option whether or not you want me to put the score you got in the gradebook. So it's just going to be a yes or no question. If you want me to put that score in the gradebook on PowerSchool, click yes. If you don't want me to put it in PowerSchool, say no. If you could answer that by Monday 10 a.m., that would be great. If you don't answer, then I'm not going to put it in the gradebook. That'll be the default, is not to put it in the gradebook. Regardless, whether I put it in the gradebook or not, this unit's got a lot of information. It's very content heavy. It can be tricky because there's a lot to memorize and the differences might seem small and it can be a little overwhelming. I would imagine it probably will be a bit more difficult doing it like we have to do it online. So I do want to review this, so make sure you correct it. Make sure you're listening carefully. This is just review about the basics of the legislative branch. So for the first part, when you had to describe or identify, whether the statements talked about the House of Representatives, the Senate, or both. For number one, senators represent the entire state. Each state gets two, and those two senators are responsible to represent the interests of the entire state. So for Michigan, that includes Metro Detroit, that includes Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, that includes Lansing, that includes Muskegon, Grand Haven, Spring Lake, that includes New Era, and all the way up into the Upper Peninsula, Traverse City, Saginaw, the entire state. That's their job. Their constituents, who are the people that elect the senators, are from the entire state. For tax and money bills, that starts in the House. Approving presidential appointments, people like Supreme Court justices, the Senate does that. For both the House and the Senate, they are representing citizens. The difference is which region in the state do they represent. But they're still representing citizens, whether it's just a district of the state or the state as a whole, so that involves both. In the House, they serve only 2-year terms. Both pass bills to become laws. Right? Their jobs are to make laws. Both the House and Senate work together to do that. 100 members is the Senate. Both are involved in overriding a presidential veto. You need a 2/3 vote for both the House and the Senate. 25 years old is the House. The Vice President leads the Senate, and the Speaker of the House leads the House. They're just called the Speaker. So that's just a review of that. Please make sure you have the correct answers for that. That was in the reading. That was in the notes that we took in yesterday's video as well. Please make sure you're reviewing that. I'll be posting other review materials for you to use as well. Based on how this went, it'd be good for us to do some review on this over the next few days. For part 2, the compromise part, I bolded one, underlined the other, and highlighted the third. Those are the parts that they have in common. Many students chose to bold or underline or highlight the entire statement. For example, this third one, limiting prescriptions they have in common, but how it's being done is different. Right? Both include no refills, you could have highlighted that. But one's 10 days, one's 7. You can't highlight that because they're not in common. They're different dates. Similarly, requiring training. That idea is in both. But what that looks like, this one's talking about specific topics. This one's talking about 12 hours. How you're doing it is different. So what you are supposed to do then in part 2 is not look at what they have in common, but then see the differences between the two, find a compromise in the middle of those two differences. A lot of people came up with entirely new ideas that were nowhere to be found in these bills. You are not creating compromises for this bill. You are creating an entirely different bill. And that's not what this was asking. Some of you put quite a bit of thought into that, so I wasn't entirely upset. That was probably my fault for not explaining it clearly enough. But that's what question 2 was trying to figure out, is how can we compromise between what they already have, looking at what they have in common, and then finding middle ground between what's different. For question 3, like everyone said that, both will agree because you've got parts of both, right? That's the easy part. But realize in real life and in this situation, nothing is ever going to be like perfectly in the middle, because there is no bill and no idea that's simple enough for that to happen. It's not like the House says, let's give this person 8 cents, and then the Senate says, no, let's give them 10 cents, and then you can find literal equal middle ground by giving them 9. There's not a single bill that's simple and as straightforward as that. So one thing I just want you to get from 3 is the fact that when you're compromising, it's tricky. You can have parts of both, but it's guaranteed to lean one way more than the other, regardless of what the bill's about. And that's what makes it so difficult, one of the many reasons why it's so difficult for the House and the Senate to agree and help pass laws, because it's hard to find close enough middle ground where both can approve it, especially when, in the current situation, the House is controlled by Democrats, the Senate is controlled by Republicans. They already have differences between the two, yet alone finding middle ground, that's really tough to make happen. So that's what we were looking for there. So once again, just answer the question whether you want me to put that grade in the grade book for you or not. If you choose no, that's totally fine. We will exempt the grade. If you want that grade, go for it. I'll put in the number. Just let me know by 10 a.m. If you have questions about any of this, let me know. But I'll make sure to post plenty of review materials for you guys next week, just to practice more with this, to make sure we fully understand what the legislative branch is all about. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you next week.